They called her weak out loud. They learned the truth in silence. The insult landed like a stone in a glass room. Sunlight poured through the high windows of the training hangar, glinting off steel beams and rank insignia, when the male soldier stepped forward, jaw tight, hand half raised, as if permission had already been granted. 250 elite forces stood in a loose semicircle, boots planted, breath held. The air tasted of dust and chalk. She didn't step back. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Mara Vance, though most people didn't bother learning it. She wore no bravado, no carved swagger, just a fitted uniform and eyes that measured distance like a habit she couldn't turn off. The whisper moved fast. A seal that week. Someone laughed. Another echoed it. The man in front of her took that as permission. He was bigger, louder, the kind of confidence built on mirrors and applause. He moved to strike, not to kill, not even to prove a point, just to humiliate. The floor vibrated as boots shifted. A few instructors stiffened. No one intervened. The rules of the demonstration were simple. The moment belonged to them. Mara felt the breeze from the overhead fans brush her cheek. She smelled oil and warm metal. She heard a coffee cup tremble somewhere behind the ranks. Her thoughts came calm and clean. If I react late, someone gets hurt. She'd learned that lesson the hard way, a decade ago, under a different sun. His fist cut the air. She slipped inside the arc like she'd been invited. One step, a turn of the hips, a sharp, economical movement that borrowed his momentum and returned it with interest. Bone met nerve. Balance vanished. The sound wasn't loud, just a hollow thud, like a book dropped on concrete. He folded and stayed down. Silence swallowed the hangar. 250 elite forces stared as if the daylight had changed its mind. Someone exhaled. Someone else swore softly. A ripple passed through the crowd, shock, then something like awe, then a tightening respect that didn't need words. Mara stood there, hands open, breathing steady. She hadn't enjoyed it. That mattered to her. The moral weight pressed anyway. Was this necessary? She'd asked herself that question in jungles and deserts, on decks slick with rain. The answer had never been simple. An instructor finally moved, kneeling by the fallen soldier, checking his pulse. He nodded. He'll wake up. The words carried across the floor, measured and neutral. Murmurs swelled. Faces leaned forward. Neighbors to the base had gathered at the open doors, drawn by the sudden hush, sensing a shift in the air. Phones stayed in pockets. No one wanted to cheapen the moment. A colonel cleared his throat. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Lieutenant Vance, he said, and the name clicked into place like a key. Unit. For a heartbeat, she considered letting the silence answer. Then she spoke, quiet as a promise. Naval Special Warfare. Teams 4 and 5. 10 years. The words fell into the room and changed its gravity. Micro cliffhangers stitched the seconds together. Would they challenge her? Would they applaud? Would the rules bend backward to save face? The fans hummed. Dust drifted in a bright shaft of light. What happened instead was subtler and stronger. The semicircle straightened. Spines aligned. Heads dipped. Not submission, but acknowledgement. Respect moved like a wave. Tool to tool. Rank to rank. Coordinated without command, the instructors stepped forward together. Boots striking in unison. Filling the open floor as if closing a protective ring. Justice didn't shout. It settled. The fallen soldier stirred. Shame colored his face. No one laughed. That too mattered. Later, under the same relentless daylight, Mara sat on a bench outside, hands resting on her knees, feeling the sun warm the old scars she never explained. She thought of the laugh at the start, how small it sounded now. She thought of the quiet that followed, how honest it felt. Because strength isn't loud, it's precise, and it arrives exactly when needed. And the daylight that exposed her was the same light that finally let the truth be seen. If this story moved you, share where you're watching from, and what moment stayed with you. Subscribe for more stories of courage, justice, and the quiet power that changes rooms without raising its voice.